Welcome to the Wait a minute. This isn't the right slide. Hold on. We'll be back with the right slide in just one moment. Beep. Alright, we are back. We apologize for the inconvenience, but welcome to the 2018 midterm election. Today we have the Democratic Senator of New York, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, versus Mitch McConnell, the Republicans, the Senate Majority Leader, the Republican Senator from Kentucky. Here's the current United States Senate, 51 Republicans to 49 Democrats. Here's the 7 o'clock p.m. poll closing. State of Vermont, Bernie Sanders has won his Senate seat re-election against Phil Scott, the governor. Virginia, Tim Kaine defeats Bob McDonnell in this Virginia Senate race. Indiana, Luke Messer is behind the. Luke Messer is ahead, actually, of the incumbent Senator Joe Donnelly. Joe Donnelly, the incumbent Democrat. Here's the Senate map currently: 42 Republicans to 25 Democrats. 7:30 p.m. poll closing. Ohio, John Kasich, the Republican, is ahead of the current Democratic incumbent Sherrod Brown. John Kasich running for the Senate seat after he is not allowed to run for governor again. West Virginia, Joe Manchin is ahead, the incumbent Joe Manchin ahead of the Republican challenger Evan Jenkins. Here's the Senate map: 42 Democrats to 42 Republicans, 25 Democrats. We apologize about that. 42 Republicans, 25 Democrats. No changes except for Ohio and West Virginia being filled in. Here's the 8 o'clock p.m. poll closing. The first Republican projection tonight: Roger Wicker defeats the former Senator Benny Thompson in this election. Here is a Mississippi special election, replacing the retired Thad Cochran. Cindy Hyde-Smith was appointed senator by the governor, and now wins the first election, the Senate special. Cindy Hyde-Smith defeats Ronnie Musgrove in the Senate Mississippi Senate special election. Angus King defeats his opponent Eric Brakey. Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren defeats Scott Brown. Scott Brown, the former senator, was defeated by Elizabeth Warren back in 2012. Elizabeth Warren now defeats him again in this election. Senator Chris Murphy defeats Rob Simmons in this Connecticut election. Rhode Island, Sheldon Whitehouse, he should be elected president just because of his last name, but Sheldon Whitehouse had no opponent and he wins this election. Tom Carper from Delaware wins his Senate seat against Mike Castle. Maryland, Ben Cardin defeats Andy Harris. Florida, Bill Nelson is ahead of the governor Rick Scott. Bill Nelson, the incumbent. Rick Scott is running here just like John Kasich because he cannot run for re-election as a governor. Tennessee, Phil Bredesen is ahead of Marshall Blackburn, but only by 11 votes. This is a very tight race. We will be paying attention to this one closely tonight. Missouri, Claire McCaskill is ahead of Josh Hawley, 2,000 vote lead. Bob Casey in Pennsylvania is ahead of Lou Barletta in this election. New Jersey, Bob Menendez, the current incumbent, is behind the Republican challenger Bob Hugin. Here's the Senate map: 41 for the 44 for the Republicans, and the 31 for the Democrats. Here's the 9 o'clock p.m. poll closing. State of Wyoming, John Barrasso is now projected to win his Senate seat because there was no opponent. Just like Deb Fischer, she is projected to win her Senate seat. There's no opponent, just like Sheldon Whitehouse and John Barrasso in Wyoming. New Mexico, Martin Heinrich defeats Steve Pierce in his Senate election. He is the incumbent, along with Heidi Heitkamp defeats Kevin Cramer in North Dakota. Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar defeats Rod Grams. And the Minnesota special election replacing Al Franken and his resignation. Tina Smith is now the projected winner of Minnesota special election. Norm Coleman was running here. He ran against Al Franken back in 2012, and back in 2014 he ran against Al Franken, and Al Franken defeated him. Now that Al Franken is gone, he runs again, but Norm Coleman will get defeated once again by Tina Smith. Michigan, Debbie Stabenow defeats Fred Upton in this Michigan election. New York, Kirsten Gillibrand defeats Claudia Tenney in this New York Senate seat. Indiana, Joe Donnelly, former Too Close to Call. Joe Donnelly now defeats Luke Messer in his Senate election. West Virginia, Joe Manchin now defeats Evan Jenkins in his Senate seat. Pennsylvania, Bob Casey Jr. defeats Lou Barletta in his Senate seat. New Jersey, Bob Menendez, one of the more unpopular senators, defeats his Republican challenger, Bob Hugin. Florida's Bill Nelson defeats Rick Scott, the governor here. Missouri, Claire McCaskill defeats Josh Hawley. Tennessee, the first pickup of tonight, Bill Bredesen picks up this Republican seat, turns it into a Democratic seat, a huge setback for the president. Bill Bredesen defeats Marsha Blackburn in this Senate seat, replacing Bob Corker. It is a very Republican state, but Phil Bredesen, the former governor, will win the Senate seat. Phil Bredesen has left as governor with a very high approval rating, and now he will be elected to the Senate. Pickup for the Democrats, a huge setback for the Republicans and the president. Phil Bredesen elected to the United States Senate. Texas Senate is too close to call. Ted Cruz only ahead of Beto O'Rourke, 1,000 votes. Arizona, Kristen Sinema is ahead of the Republican Martha McSally. This Senate election will be replacing Jeff Flake, resigning. Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin is ahead of Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan, the Wisconsin representative, Tammy Baldwin is currently ahead by 6,000 votes. Here's the Senate map: 46 Republican senators. Sorry about that. To 44 for the Democrats. Here's a 10 o'clock p.m. poll closing. Jackie Rosen in Nevada, the Senate seat. Jackie Rosen defeats Dean Heller, one of the most unpopular senators. Jackie Rosen defeats him and picks up the seat for the Democrats. And we can now project Arizona. Kristen Sinema will defeat Martha McSally and take Jeff Flake's seat. Martha McSally will be defeated in this election, and Kristen Sinema will pick this up for the Democrats. Montana's John Tester will defeat Greg Gianforte. Tammy Baldwin will now will hold her Senate seat in Wisconsin. Ohio Sherrod Brown, we apologize for this. Ohio Sherrod Brown defeats John Kasich, not Luke Messer. Ohio Sherrod Brown will win re-election. And Utah, Mitt Romney will win this election after Orrin Hatch resigns. Mitt Romney will win this election from Jenny Wilson. Here's the current Senate map: 49 for the Democrats, 48 for the Republicans. Here's the 11 o'clock p.m. poll closing. We can now project that the Democrats will win back the United States Senate. The Senate has been won by the Democrats. They defeat the Republicans in a 52-48 majority. They have won back the United States Senate. From this projection out of California, Dianne Feinstein defeats Ed Royce. Maria Cantwell defeats Dan Newhouse. And that already puts them over the top, but they also get Hawaii. Mazie Hirono will win this election because she has no opponent here. Here's the current Senate map: 52-48 for the Democrats. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My next video will be, what's it called? will be Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson versus Donald Trump. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.